So we need a new way of looking at death.
We do indeed. You know, again, a huge percentage of the population of Earth now feel that we have more than one lifetime. Incarnations of the soul. And so when we begin to experience that or even recognize that, it helps us to know that the body disintegrates, but consciousness never dies. It's a cosmic law. It's a scientific law. Energy never dies. It just changes form. And so when we die, we shed this. We shed this. But the consciousness goes on. And when we recognize that, it helps us to let go of someone. Because if you entrap because of your culture or because you feel that you owe something to someone, maybe you never got to say what you should have said or rebalance the relationship. And so you feel guilt or you feel some kind of requirement to hold that. When in actuality, that person who has passed from their body needs to be released into the light so that at some point they can reincarnate, so that they can be free of all of the entanglement that we have and that we bring together lifetime after lifetime. I always say that we choose our parents. We definitely do. And we travel again and again with them. So for me, when people come to the Light Institute to look at their own lifetimes, I work with scientists, I work with people from all walks of life. It doesn't matter if they actually believe in reincarnation. What's wonderful is that they always come up with lifetimes. It doesn't matter whether they think they're imagining it. What happens is, as they come up with the lifetimes, they see that that lifetime is going on now with the same people, the same themes, that they are learning, that they are polishing for the purpose of the evolution of the soul. So yes, we need to free ourselves from our fear of death, because we will go on. And to know that as we go on, we will evolve. We will be better humans. We will be in contact with our divinity, with that energy which is a part of the cosmos.
So instead of looking at death as the end of everything, look at it as a transformation into a new energy.
It is. And I have had and I would say now, originally when I was young, I might not have said it quite this way, but I would say now that I have had the honor of being with more than hundreds of deaths. It started when I was very young in the Peace Corps and in the Central America, where something like, at that time, 70 to 80% of babies died within the first year. Most of them died within the first month because of umbilical tetanus. And so I held a lot of babies that died in my arms. And that's where I really learned that the soul goes on. I saw the soul leave the body. There is an explosion of light. So there's a dying process of the cellular level, but the conscious level, the soul level, explodes into light. And that's a new beginning.
And I feel like there's a lot of challenge with many cultures, because it's usually with the culture where they attach death with a lot of sadness and
Yes.
mourning. It almost calls for a new...
It does. It does. And to recognize that, for example, we're the sorrowful ones. We're the ones that are left behind. And all humans, somewhere in their genetic encoding, long for that cosmic energy. They long for their divine source. They do. And whether that's been imprinted through many generations in their cultures, you know, that being a human is punishment, school, or not. But when we can come to a place of realizing that to way to honor someone who dies is to celebrate their lives. So I often participate as an officiant at what you might call funerals or the passage of death. And one of the things that I always say to people is, think for a moment the quality that that person had that most inspires you, their best quality. And know that as you think of that quality, that you will now inherit that quality. And that's called legacy. That's how someone lives on. Not through their body or the picture that you have of them, but because they will transfer into you that quality. And it is truly amazing that that happens. And so when people begin to think of it in that way, the loss is different. And we can celebrate they're free. Unfortunately, up until this time, and I don't think it'll happen in the future, but we die poorly. We die of disease, we die of old age, we die in pain, we die in accidents. And I don't think that's the highest possibility for humans. And so when someone is free of that, especially if they die from a disease, it's a great blessing to them. And so I always say to people when someone has died in disease or in a sad way, celebrate their freedom, because they are still conscious. And they will go on from just the consciousness of this small world, and they will go back to or beyond to themselves as multi-dimensional, holographic energies, cosmic energies.
I love that, to celebrate their presence instead of attaching it to sadness and mourning.
Yeah, because they're not sorrowful, they're free. I'll give you a little example of that on a personal level. When my mother died, I was in the kitchen and I was about to go out and do some incarnational work with someone. And suddenly I felt her spirit, and it was doing somersaults in the kitchen. And I looked up and I saw this light, just as if you could see a light spinning around like that. And it was doing that, and I looked up, and as I looked at that, I thought, my mother has died. And at that moment, my sister called and said, Mother just passed away. I said, yeah, she's in my kitchen. And so at that moment, I got to celebrate with her. You see, she was doing somersaults. She was so happy to be free of her body. And she'd come to me because she knew that I would celebrate with her. And then, instead of my heart being broken, I went out and did my work. I did the purpose of my life. And at the same time, I had this very uplifted energy. I think I did a really good job on my session there because I had just accessed a truth, that my mother was free. And then, of course, I used that technology of consciousness. What is it that I love the most about my mother? That she gave to me. And that has transmitted to me since that time. And I'm a better person because I have received psychogenetically that gift, or those many gifts, from my mother.
And I also intuitively feel that we are always connected even if somebody dies. It's not, your connection with them is still alive.
Yes, and we humans have to understand, we need to begin to experience that we do have more than one opportunity to be in body and experience life in new ways. And so, the more that we can access that and free everyone instead of feeling that we have to hold on to them. The reason we hold on to them outside of our cultures and our family structure is because we identify through them. And so it's time for humans to expand our sense of self, our identity, into galactic energies, into angelic, into devic energies, into finding yourself, and know that all energies are connected to the whole.
Thank you, Gris.
My pleasure.